Hello everybody, my name is Farmer Phil, and in today's video, it's the first of the bulls are going to the factory. We're in the slatted shed. We have our bulls behind us here. So we're taking 9 out of this pen and we are taking 7 out of the other pen to make up a full load. So I'm also filming on the phone, as you may tell, because my media mod quit working, so my mic no longer works with the GoPro, and it's been quite a windy night. So I said I better use the mic. But we have our guys marked, there's one of them. So without further ado, we get these guys out, and in fact the lorry should be here in 10 minutes, so yeah, nothing like a bit of a panic. But anyways, lads are nice and quiet, so it shouldn't be too hard. There's 2 out. Just a big guy. That's our heaviest bull there. The big lad. He's 688 kilos. Yeah. And that one, yeah. Come on. Come on. On we go, lads. So we have our bulls in the chute. So we weighed all yesterday and done that. So some cider vinegar. So because we're mixing 2 pens, you get on his head. It just takes the scent off them. So when they go into the trailer, they're not really going to smell each other. That was a bit of a failure. I have to get the cider vinegar there, and I'll just do it out with that. I'll put a bit on all of them so that there's no messing. These guys are all 1 pen. These guys are all out of another pen. We have our big bull here. He's 688 kilos. He's well fleshed. There's a lovely bit of fat on him there. You know, he's not tight on the ribs. You know, there's plenty of space there. Real tasty bit of a bull now. Real tasty bit of a bull for what he is. So this is what we have. So I'm going to just record numbers in line, and then we'll stick in their weight. So this is our biggest guy. Here's the next guy. He's even plumper. There's a bit of a butter box. The next lad, another bit of a butter box. This guy's a bit smaller, but he ticks our box.
2, 4, 1, 6, 5.
And then the same with the next 2. This guy in the crush.
3371.
And then here's the lads of another pen. So another one of our bulls there. I think the guy at the back. One of them bulls is, I think, 600 kilos. We had 2 in the weigh-in group that were a little bit dirty. For some reason this year, with maybe it's lower dry matter silage or something, cattle are a little bit dirtier than what we'd normally have. And these are the rest of the pen. So, pretty happy with them. On our full self-sufficient ration, no meal, no nothing bought in. All fed beet, barley, maize and whole crop. I'll get a bit of cider vinegar on all of them. We take any messing from them, and we'll go make sure we have the right cards out of the pile, and we'll be ready to load. So, lorry's just arrived, but something you'll notice, bulls are very quiet at the minute. We let them out as we do. We take the ones we want out instead of letting them all out and separating them. They always tend to be quieter when we let them out. We just have the bulls gone there. Father and Liver looking at the latest batch of piglets that were born. But yeah, they're gone now, so we'll know later on today how them lads got on. And as we do every year when the first guys go, we give you a bit of a breakdown of how they've done. We'll also look at the difference, because they're both off the slats. We'll look at the difference in daily weight gains between the guys that are on the rubber and the guys that weren't, and see is there any difference then in weights and grades and the difference. But I do think the guys on the rubber looked better. They looked fatter, felt fatter, looked better. Not a lot in it, but they just had a bit of a better shine to them. We're going to go shut up lights and turn off things, and yeah, we'll pick it up again later. We may also film the next load that goes, just to flesh it out a little bit. We'll have them off the bedded sheds, and I think 4 bullocks as well will be going, so we'll have a look at how bullocks do as well, all in one video. But hopefully next time it'll be with the GoPro and not with the phone, increase the quality. But anyways, we'll pick it up later on. And so it's another morning, and it's time to get the next load of cattle away. So we have to get 4 bullocks out of the shed, and 4 bullocks and 8 bulls. Yeah, that's it. It's 4 bullocks and 8 bulls. As the lorry is coming with a few heifers from another farm, and we'll be loading the bullocks in the front half of them and then loading up the back half. Bullocks. Squeeze gate. Also, for anyone who's wondering what we've done with the squeeze gate, what we've done was we just shortened it. We didn't extend our end, and don't ask me why, we never thought of it, but we just shortened it. It's a little bit of a hard pull, but it's not too bad. So we're going to start off by weighing. I picked 4 bullocks out of the shed last night, so they should be around the 600 kilo mark, going on their weights that they were weighing when they went in. So we're going to let 4 of them out first, weigh them first, put them into the chute as they need to go into the front of the lorry, and then we'll get 8 bulls out of the shed, 4 off the slats, 4 off the bedded, and then yeah, that's them. We'll have a look at them when we get them out. So first Frisian bullock in, 650. So you can see this lad, really chunky, and look at that, lots of fat. There's them out there. There's the bullock up next. 592.
Number?
33.95. Not as good as our Frisian. He cost 20 quid. He cost 200. 524. There's your Angus. Money comparison never makes sense. We have one more Angus here. 1500. Ah, here's a better Angus. 676. Well, he make more than him when they have everything about them has the same cost up until now, with the difference of being the cost of price 20 quid versus 200. Are lovely, lovely bits of bullocks. Maybe a bit on the dirty side, but smashing my bullocks. Very happy with my Frisian bullock. All our Frisian bullocks have done, all the bullocks to be fair have done very well this year. Very, very well. We look forward to see how these guys finish out. But lovely batch of very shapy bullocks, especially the Frisian. Anyways, we get the bulls next. Here we have the first 4 bulls off the slats. Come on, boys. So Chunkosaurus is on it. Chunkosaurus at the front there. Come on. Nelly, stop. So nice, well behaved this morning. Always fine. You take them out of the pen, sort them in the pen, take out the few you want. You can walk them around. Pretty handy. Allow a whole pen, and they can be a bit, well, sometimes in the mornings they can be a bit narky, but Chunkosaurus, that's them guys. That's Chunkosaurus facing us, all around the 580 kilos. Chunkosaurus is the Norwegian Red Cross. I tend to see that the Norwegian Red Crosses do slightly better than the rest, but more shape to them. Anyways, that's them. Yeah, 4 bulls out of the next. And there we have our bulls off the bedded shed. So nice shapy, sizey bits of bulls. Just this year, for whatever reason, the cattle aren't as clean as other years. TMR ration we're feeding must be a lower dry matter. Get cider vinegar now. Must be a lower dry matter. The wetter the feed you're feeding them, the more sloppy their poo is, and then the more dirty the cattle are, the drier the poo. So yeah, it's a bit annoying, but bullocks aren't too bad. But yeah, lovely bits of shapy bullocks here now. Throw on some cider vinegar and we'll get them loaded and see how they do. So we're waiting. They're all cidered up. So I show you pigs, the latest litter that was born. So you can see them there. This is Bertha's second litter. Isn't that right, Bertha? You're a good one, aren't you? And that's the lorry just driving out there now. So we'll knock off the lights and have the breakfast and get ready hopefully for our day's pumping. And yeah, that's them gone. So we'll have a look later on. We'll sit down, we'll do the maths, we'll pick it up. And we're back. We have 3 load of cattle away now. So because it kind of took a bit of time to get me ducks in a row, we now have another load of cattle, so we're going to look at the averages across 3 load of cattle. But before we go into that, we're going to look at the diet that we fed the cattle for the finishing period, and we're starting off with our barley. So rolled barley makes up a large portion of it. We also were feeding beans, but we run out of beans kind of middle of January. There's only a handful really left here, but that's what our beans look like. That is probably our biggest disappointment of the year, is we just don't have enough beans. So next year we're going to be feeding, we're going to try and double the acreage up to 20 acres of beans, so that we have beans to feed the cattle more beans and have enough beans to see us right through till now and on further. We're outside now, so it could be a bit windier, but we also fed maize. This is our maize silage that we made off 12 acres. It's keeping perfect, smells perfect, feeding really, really well, and we still have plenty of it. We're just past that pillar going into the last bay, so we have enough here to see all the cattle finished, and actually probably a bit more than that. So we're starting to use more of this as we'll skip over the other side of the wall. And we also have our beet, which you can see here, and we are getting very close to being out. We don't have enough beet. For the last nearly month, I'd say, we've been cutting back the beet. We've been increasing the amount of maize we're feeding because we have more maize. We have enough maize. We've lots of maize, and it's just to replace the beet with more maize. So next year we're going to grow an extra 4 acres of beet to hopefully have enough to see us to now and further without having to cut them back. We also fed our wheat whole crop, which is in the centre of the pit, and we fed our third cut, which is on top. Our first cut's that side on the bottom, second cut's that side. The third cut tested the best of our 3 cuts of silage with the highest protein at just over 14%, and the silage was 74% DMD, whereas this first and second cut were lower in both respects. So we fed our third cut, our best cut, to them. As you can see, it's not exactly straight, but from where we are in the pillar and how not straight it is, we'll probably have about a third of pit of silage over, or maybe between a third and a quarter of the pit of silage should be over by the end of the year. So that's brilliant, a big improvement on last year where we would basically run out only before we had the grill of rape. The reason why we have so much is we put in an extra 30 acres in the first cut, and we done a third cut, so we made sure we weren't going to run out. Now we have plenty, and that's all that goes into the finishing ration for the bulls. That's what you've seen there. So we'll go to the bulls and look what the stuff that were fed yesterday looks like. Father Phil is just starting to feed there, so the feeder's on, he's just pushing in and chopping beet. So we'll go look at the bulls and we see how our 3 load of cattle have got on this year. Here we have what the finishing ration looks like currently. So there's a good bit of silage in it, you can see the maize in it and the grain in it. The beet by this time is always eaten out of it, so you can't really see much in it. And yeah, that's what it looks like at the minute. The lads are doing well on it, so we'll go through how the boys have done this year and what our daily weigh-ins, and compare our rubber versus our non-rubber. And the pens are quite empty now because we've had 2 loads gone out of these pens since. So yeah. So I have all my information on my phone, so I'm not sitting down in front of the laptop this time doing it for this year. But to start off, before we go look at the loads, we'll look at our 2 pens of cattle here. So we had 23 and 22 in the pens, so there was 45 cattle in this shed altogether. We have our Durapack rubbers and our Huber Technic upstand rubber up there, kindly sponsored. So just so ye are aware, that was sponsored content. And this side then without. We wanted to see what the daily weight gain difference would be, or if there was any, between ones with the higher comfort on the rubber versus the ones that weren't going to be on the rubber. Oh, the results are in. And also I want to mention, this is mad. Today's sponsor, as always, Herdwatch sponsor all our cattle livestock videos. We use Herdwatch for recording everything that goes on the farm. Everything that I'm going to list through here and all our stats is recorded on Herdwatch. When we're weighing cattle, we bang in all the weights, and even I'll just screen record now and I'll show you. They have new features there as well, where you can input your kill sheets and your records of the cattle straight into Herdwatch by taking a note and just taking a picture of it, or using the PDF file that you get, putting it on Herdwatch, and then you can put in, it automatically puts in your animal. So we're going to look at 4168, who is Chunkosaurus, our NRX bull. He done quite well for us, so we can see what his age was, his breed, where we bought it, where he was sold, how many days he was in the herd. We can see his breed percentage, so we can see he was 62.5% Norwegian Red, he was 28.1% Holstein, and 9.4% British Friesian. He weighed 618 kilos the day he left, and his daily weight gain was 1.29 kilos a day, and he killed out an O equals 3 minus. Very happy with that animal. One of the things with Herdwatch, you just ever new think about recording, there you have it there. So if you want to learn out more, there'll be more in the description or that below. But anyways, back to what I was supposed to be doing, the difference between the rubber versus non-rubber. So as I said, we had 23 this side, 22 that side, 45 in the shed altogether. So starting with the non-rubber of the 23 cattle that was in the pen when we weighed them for the first time to see who was ready to go, we had 11 cattle fit, and we had an average daily weight gain of 1.15 kilos. I know it's not what some people call over hectic, but it's an improvement on last year by 0.2 kilos a day. Father Phil's coming to push in now, so I'm going to have to stop where I am. Change of scenery. So we're looking in at the rubber side now. The rubber side, of the 22 cattle that was in there, we had 9 of them were fit to go in the first round of selection. Their average daily weight gain was 1.35 kilos a day. So there was a difference of 0.2 kilos average daily weight gain a day. So that's 200 grams a day more these put on than that end of the shed put on without rubber. So if we look at that over the space of time they were, since we weighed them till we weighed them again, it was 90 days. So in 90 days, the average increase in the weight of these guys here were 18 kilos heavier on average because of the increased weight than they were. And if we break that down, if we say we have an average kill out percentage of 50%, so in the 90 days, these guys had 9 kilos more beef on the rubber than the guys who weren't on the rubber. And if we take it as kind of the current going rate for beef at €5 a kilo, it's €45 in a difference between these lads and them lads for being on the rubber. So these guys, because they done more, there's a bull at the back of the camera trying. The bulls this side, because they done 200 grams a day more than that side, that meant that they had an extra €45 a head because they done better daily weight gain than the other pen. And when you put that across the 23 cattle, if we had the rubber was in the other pen, the extra money we would have got from the cattle in the other pen, all 23 that was in the other pen, would have been €1,035 more. Lad, this lad won't leave the camera alone. €1,035 if at €5 a kilo, and if they done 18 kilos more because of the increased weight gain we've seen. It's very easy to see that the rubber will pay for itself if we put it in. So definitely for next finishing period, we're going to get the rest of that shed fitted out with a Durapack rubber slats and then a Huber Technic roll to fill out the back. Durapack is Irish Huber Technic. You can buy off O'Donovan's, I think, in Cork. And on another point, one thing I always got told when you put rubber on slats is your cattle could be dirtier. But our lads are no dirtier than any other year. So that's one myth or common conception that I was told about that we might see. Null and void. They're not any dirtier. Well happy with how the rubber turned out. So now we're going to look at our first load of bulls that we killed. Our first load of bulls that we killed were predominantly from this pen here and with a few from that pen, so they were mostly bulls off the slats. We averaged on that load, the average live weight was 560 kilos, the average carcass weight was 268.5. This is what I'm going to suffer with now, bulls trying to eat the camera on me. And the grade average was an O-2+, so quite happy. Fats are coming in exactly where we need them to be. The kill out percentage is the one thing across all the cattle we've killed I'm not over happy with. I'll talk maybe a bit about that later, but that's what the first load averaged. Also in the first load you would have seen we had our massive bull, 688 kilos. Great job, lad. So our second load of bulls, which was predominantly from this pen, we also had some bullocks in it, and we had guys off the bedded shed as well. So our second load averaged higher at 579 kilos live weight, a carcass of 273.7 with an average grade of an O- and a fat score of a 3-. Our second load of bulls really pulled out the stops with the fat. Very happy with the fats. A 3- in Frisian bulls. Our bullocks on that load, and the bullocks, Bullocks are really impressive for me at the minute. The Bullocks average 591 kilos live weight and a carcass of 289.2. And they graded an O-O equals and a fat score of a 3 equals basically across the board. We had 3 pluses, we had 3 equals, but that was the average. But we had some serious bullocks on that load between our big Angus bullock and our big Frisian. The kind of the ones that pulled the weight back down a bit was our Hereford, who was lighter, and then we had a other Angus who was one of this year, so he was under 24 months and he was 500 and I can't remember, but he was on the lower end of he was closer to 500 than he was 600, so that's why the average weight there was pulled down. The third load, which we didn't film, that was predominantly then out of all bulls out of the bedded shed and then bullocks again out of the shed. We averaged, third load, we averaged 526 kilos live weight behind the poor side and average carcass of 254.4. The average grade was a P+, which is, yeah, there was a lot of P's in that load, but again, our fats were 2 pluses on average across the board. The bullocks on that load, which included our best weighing animal I think we've ever had, and it's a pity I didn't film him, to be honest. We had a Frisian bullock on that load. He was 696 kilos. Savage lump of a boss. And then we also had a Hereford and 2 Angus. But the average on the third load was 586 kilos live weight and a carcass of 286 with an average grade of an O equals 3 equals. And that massive bullock on that load averaged an O equals. I should have filmed him. He was to go with the second load, but my father didn't want to send 2 Frisian bullocks at the same time. He said, leave one back, put in an extra Angus. That's why we put in that lighter Angus bullock. He was kind of picked that morning rather than the night before. Savage Frisian bullock. Shoulda. They were actually both them Frisian bullocks that weighed really well. 650 and 696 were both FRXs. And we're going to get on to our Angus and Hereford versus our Frisian bullock later. Our total averages, I'm hoping this bull doesn't come over and try and eat the camera. Our total average across our 3 load of cattle we killed was an average carcass, or an average live weight of all the bulls we killed so far in the 3 load was 555 kilo live weight and a carcass weight of 265 kilos with an average kill out of 47%, which is low, is low. I'm just no other point of saying it. The average daily weight gain across them cattle is 1.2 kilos a day live weight gain, which we'll get on to comparing it to last year's first cattle away. The bullocks, on the other hand, an average live weight of 588 kilos and a carcass weight of 287 kilos with a kill out percentage 49%. You kind of expect bullocks maybe to kill out better. Just on the kill outs, disappointed with them this year, seem to be quite lower than last year or any other year, to be honest. Kind of feel like they're 10 kilos less than any other year, which is disappointing. It's quite disappointing. Reason for it? No idea. Absolutely no idea. Our fats this year have been excellent, hitting the mark every time. We haven't had 1-1 all year or so far. So really happy. Our finishing diet this year done an incredible job in getting the fat on their backs, which is what we want. Our average daily live weight gain at 1.2 kilos a day isn't where I'd like it. You know, I'd be looking for 1.5 kilos a day, but at 1.2, it's a big increase on last year, which is what I want. But I think it could be better. And to get it better, I think if we feed more beans, we need to grow more beans, so we have more beans to feed them, we should be able to get that daily weight gain up. That's what I'm thinking. But at 1.2 kilo, considering everything in this trough, we grew on the farm ourselves, we have it at first expense, there's no meal bill, I can't complain. The difference in profitability when you grow it all yourself, you can do all the work yourself, makes a huge difference. So there is, I know people will say, why don't you just, never mind growing all of any of this and just buy meal and you get your 1.5 or 1.7 kilos, or some lads will tell you they can do more than that, 2 kilos a day on these kind of cattle. There's a cost benefit to it. So there is, and I'm happy with the cost effectiveness of this, even if I'm not achieving the daily weight gains I'd like. But back to topic. So if we look at the difference between 23's first kill and this year's first kill, so that's last year's video and this year's video, our lads were 7 kilos heavier on average, and we were doing 0.25 daily weight gain better. We had better fats and we had the same grade. So cattle are grading the same, better fat covers, and we're up 0.25 kilos a day. And I think it was down to having our beat on tap from the very start. Beat was there straight away. It wasn't like last year where we were trying to get pulled. Beat on tap from the beginning. And we did feed more beans because we had some more beans, but we still didn't have enough. So I think if we increase our beans for next year, our acreage and the amount we feed, we should be able to get that daily weight gain up to the next level. We're going to move on now to looking at breeds. Oh yeah, while I'm sitting here, we'll move on to the breeds. So of the cattle that we killed, of the bulls, we had 4 breeds. We had FRX, we had FR, we had JEX, and we had NRX. So FRX is Frisian cross, so it could be a bit of Jersey in them, could be a bit of Norwegian red in them, could be a bit of anything in them. FR is usually more than 50% both Holstein and British Frisian. JEX is more than 50% Jersey, and NRX is more than 50% Norwegian red, which we seen one there, 4168 was one of them. So in 4th place, so the lowest of the 4 breeds, was FRX with an average of 256 kilo carcass weight. And that was the majority of the cattle were FRX. With our Frisians, we had 6 Frisians. They were in 3rd place with an average carcass weight of 260. And yes, in 2nd place with 3, we had one really, really tasty Jersey bull, JEX, with an average 264 kilos. We had one of the Jersey bulls was just in the 600 kilo mark, and he had a 295 kilo carcass. So very tasty bit of a Jersey cross bull. And in top place, trouncing the rest of them, is our Norwegian red crosses. We had 4 of them, and they averaged 271 kilos carcass weight, all carcass weight I've explained. And yeah, Norwegian reds, without a doubt, they were grading better, they were coming into better weights, whatever it is about them. We're getting, all our Norwegian reds are coming off one farm in particular, and that farm has some nice tasty cattle. So we're going to move on to our Angus and Hereford versus our Frisian cross bullocks, and we'll wrap up the video then. We are in the timber shed now with our bullocks and our heifers behind us there, who are eagerly looking at trying to get the camera, so they are on me. So we have behind us here, you can actually see one of our Frisian cross bullocks there, and we have our Angus, and there might be a Hereford or 2 left in there. But our bullocks done exceptionally well. They come in very well. So far they're killing very well, and overall bullocks, very, very happy with them. But we'll get into Angus and Hereford versus the Frisian bullock. As we said at the start, when we look at our Frisian standing there and our Angus standing there behind me, the only difference standing between them 2 calves as of today is the difference in the price of the calf. That guy there as a calf cost me €30. That guy there, or that guy there, or that guy standing up there, you might be able to see him, 200. Sometimes the cost a bit more, 220, 240, but I'm going to 200, leave it simple. But I know they weren't less than 200, and most of the time they're not less than 200. But if we look at our averages of the bullocks that we killed 2 Frisian crosses, we killed 1 Angus and 2 HEX. Now these are all cattle of the same age. One thing you will notice from what I said was our bullocks are coming in much heavier than our bulls. The reason is our bulls are all under 24 months. Our bullocks, the majority of them are older. Now we did kill, I think 3 under 24 month bullocks, but the majority of our bullocks here are older. So I'm only looking at the older lads as a fair comparison, because otherwise they had really skewed the thing. They have the same cost standing against them up till now. Unless you want to argue with me about how a Frisian cross eats more than an Angus or a Hereford, but you can if you want. 2 Frisian cross averaged a weight, our 2 Frisian cross bullocks averaged a live weight of 660 kilos and a carcass weight of 323.6. There were an even split, and one was O equals, one was O minus, but both of them were 3 plus. And our big boy that in our 3rd load, I should have filmed, said again, it was 696 kilos. 696. Savage, lad. We had 1 Angus, that was the big Angus that you've seen. He weighed 676 kilos. His carcass was 328.5. He was an O equals 3 plus. Father Phil is starting to feed there, so that's why cattle are starting to roar. They're like, come to me first. And then our 2 Hereford crosses, the average weight of them, live weight, was 576 with a carcass weight of 279. They averaged one was a P plus, one was an O minus, and then one was a 3 plus, one was a 3 equals. So the Herefords, they were big plain cattle, or they weren't even that big. They were just plain cattle, plain cattle. There's 100 kilos in the difference between our Angus and our Hereford. Is that the normality? Maybe not, because I am only looking at 2, 1 and 2, so it's not a big sample pool, but that's just an overarching case. On the average price obtained on the cattle, the Angus was 7 cent ahead of the Frisian Cross, but the Hereford was 14 cent a kilo behind the Frisian Cross. That was because the P plus doesn't pay very well, or doesn't pay as well as if you hit an O. So when we put that into perspective of how much each animal made in comparison to another, the Hereford Cross was €249 ahead, less than the Frisian Cross, and that was down to weight and then less, 14 cent less per kilo, while the Angus was €47 ahead of the Frisian Cross. So because of that little bit extra weight, that 7 cent extra grade price, he was €47 ahead. So you factor in the variable cost of the price of the calf, €30 and €200. Angus and the Hereford need to make €170 above and beyond Frisian Cross for it to be more worthwhile to be buying Angus or Herefords over Frisian Cross, which is, look, Frisian Cross, I think both of them were a high percentage jersey if memory serves me right. But the reality was the Frisian Cross made €123 more than the Angus on taking in the variable cost of the calf, and then €419 more than the Hereford Cross. That's why the bread and butter of our operation is the dairy beef, the Frisian, the Jersey, and the crosses. Just to put into perspective, if I had bought 3 similar quality Frisian Cross calves at €30, brought them to Bullocks, done the same, instead of buying an Angus and 2 Herefords, I would be over the 5 cattle, I'd be an eye-watering €961 better off. Pretty mad when you put into that. Now, I know people say that's a small representation of the group. People argue my Frisian Cross eat more than my Angus and so on and so forth. Fair enough points to make if you want. But the big one, it's a small sample group. But I'm long enough at this job now that I know that that's nearly the rule of thumb across the board, that my cheap and cheerful Frisian, Jersey Cross, Frisian Cross will make more money than any Angus or Continental I can bring into the farm, because the price difference in the calf does not relate to the price difference in the end. The increase in quality or grade that you get for your Angus or your Continental or whatever, the price difference between that and what the grade of a Frisian or Jersey or your dairy cross is, the weight difference and the difference in the price per kilo doesn't equate to getting more money for them over the others. And the only thing that isn't factored into that, if someone was to go down the road doing what I'm just explaining, is you'll sell an Angus any day of the week, whereas a Frisian Cross is a little bit more difficult to sell. Also, if you buy Angus or Hereford or any Continental Cross dairy calf, you have the option of going to the mart and you may go on reasonably. But if you buy my lovely Frisian Cross here behind me, you buy him, you have to get your money back out of them, you have to bring them all the way, because that's where the money is in them. Trying to sell them on in the mart, I don't think goes very well, though some people do get on, but it's just a smaller margin game. But in the heel of the hunt, that's it. And that's why our bread and butter is our Frisian Jersey Cross all day, every day. That's how the average of the cattle went. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Well happy with how the cattle have done this year. We're getting better fats, we're up on our weights, our daily weight gains are better, you know, we're heading in the right direction. Our bullocks, I think next year we're going to do more Frisian bullocks, because they have been absolutely outstanding. Very, very, very happy with how our bullocks have done. Our heifers have also done well, but we won't be starting to kill them till toward 3rd week of February, because that's when they're come out with withdrawal. But yeah, very happy. Big improvement on last year, and there's not much more I can say on that. So anyways, let me know in the comments what you think, and that is it for me. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, and don't forget to check out Herdwatch if you want to do all the Herdwatch stuff. And if you're interested in rubber mats and the rubber stuff, you can check out Durapack for the slatted rubber, and the upstands are from Huber Technics, sold by O'Donovan's. Big thanks to everyone for sponsoring today's video. But that is the heel of the hunt. It's a good year.